discussion on the amendments? Okay. Seeing no discussion, I'll call for the question, verbal. Amendments? Oh, there was no motion made. Okay.
Motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved, probably moved and second. Seeing that there was no discussion, I will now call for the question to adopt the agenda as amended. Councilman Pete?
Aye.
Councilman Brown?
Approve.
Councilman Fields?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
That is a yes for me. The agenda has been adopted, continuing items B and C to the July meeting. All right, next on the agenda is a National Donate a Lunch proclamation. Vice Mayor, you want to take that one?
Yes, thank you. Proclamation recognizing National Donate a Lunch Day, whereas almost 10 million Americans are still unemployed during this pandemic, and whereas according to the USDA, 50 million people in the United States, including 17 million children, are battling hunger and feeling food insecure. This is almost a 2% increase since 2019 due to COVID-19. And whereas the observance of the National Donate a Lunch Day on May 1st, 2021 is an opportunity to support food security program of Humanity First USA that provides vital and critical services by donating food, volunteering, and raising awareness about hunger issues in the US. And whereas the campaign encourages its supporters to skip lunch on May 1st, 2021, and donate their lunch money to Humanity First USA to feed fellow Americans. And whereas this organization has hundreds of caring volunteers across the US who donate their time, vehicles, gasoline, and energy to deliver thousands of meals annually to our fellow citizens in the US, especially during this pandemic, in response to COVID-19, served 1.7 million meals in 2020. And whereas Humanity First USA is consistently providing financial support and food distribution to local food banks and pantries through funds raised under Food Security Program. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the town of Dumfries celebrates and recognizes May 1st, 2021 as National Donate a Lunch Day.
All right. Thank you for that beautiful proclamation. Hopefully folks get out and donate some lunches. Next on the agenda is the approval of the March 16th, 2021 minutes. Council, did you get a chance to look over the minutes, and did anybody see any changes or anything? Okay. And now we welcome a motion to move to adopt the minutes as presented.
Take a motion.
Second.
So moved by Councilman Pete, second by Vice Mayor Nicholson. All right, I'll call for the question. Councilman Fields.
Aye.
Councilman Brown.
Approve.
Councilman Pete.
Approve.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
And that is a yes for me. All right. We'll now open it up for our citizen comment period. If there are any citizens who would like to address the council, we'll give you 3 minutes. State your name and your address, and you can speak and give your remarks to the council, and somebody will get back to you at a later time. So was there anybody here wishing to give comments to the council? All right, seeing no hands, we will close the citizen comment period. We'll close the citizen comment period.
Doing customer service, man.
Customer service.
You closing the customer service center.
Yeah, the citizen comment period. All right, next on our agenda is the reports and presentations. Town manager, please present your report to the council. The floor is yours.
Mayor. My comments will be brief this evening. I just wanted to remind residents and the council as the weather remains warmer and we get into our spring and summer season, that it is our grass cutting and planting season. So I wanted to remind everyone that all of our public right-of-ways and parks are being mowed and maintained on a 2-week schedule. If you see any issues, please feel free to contact us and let us know. But everything is on a 2-week schedule. If you find incidents of issues or overgrowth on private property, we can also use our code enforcement to ensure that those properties are maintained. So please also let us know. You can always email those comments to pio@dumfriesva.gov. Thank you.
Thank you for your pointed comments. I was going to ask about who people report the grass problems to on private property, because that seems to be sometimes where we get complaints from on the private side. But thank you. As far as in the administrative department, do we have any current openings or any seats? Can you just update us on that? I know we have the police. All the positions have been filled, or no?
We have no current openings.
No current openings. Okay. All right, council, any questions on the town manager's report? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on with the agenda. Next on the agenda is our final action item for the night, which would be an ordinance concerning the rezoning application, RZA 2020-002 for the first town center. For that, we'll bring in Will Capers III, the Director of Planning and Community Development. Sir, the floor is now yours.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and honorable members of the Town Council. My name is Will Capers. I am the Director of Planning and Community Development with the Town of Dumfries. Tonight, I will be providing a staff report for the Town of Dumfries Town Council to consider a rezoning application RZ 2020-002, the first town center, for the authorization to rezone 10.24 acres of land from the neighborhood business B2 zoning district to the planned mixed use development or PMUD zoning district. Also, for the Town Council to consider as part of the rezoning application, a request to waive section 535.54 of the zoning ordinance to increase the maximum allowable density for residential units. The applicant, Dumfries Development Group, LLC, requests the approval of a rezoning application, RZ 2020-002, to permit the development of 353,628 square feet of mixed-use development on 10.2 acres of land located along Main Street. Once constructed, the site will include 317 multifamily dwelling units and 18,700 square feet of commercial space. The site is located along Main Street within the Dumfries historic downtown area, which is generally situated north of Route 1, Fairleigh Boulevard, east of Washington Street, and west of Canal Road. The site is currently undeveloped with several curb cuts, connection points along Main Street. As shown in this figure, the site generally is surrounded by non-residential uses immediately to the south, to the north, east, and west of the site zoned in the business neighborhood B2 zoning district, and non-residential uses south of the site along Fairleigh Boulevard, zoned in the general B1 zoning district. The uses immediately adjacent to the site consist of various neighborhood scale retail stores, office space, a medical facility, and a government municipal building immediately to the west of the site. The site is also located in the historic overlay district. In regards to the comprehensive plan provisions, the site is located in the Main Street Small Area Plan. As provided in the land use section of the plan, the Main Street Small Area Plan embodies the key elements of the traditional neighborhood design and complete streets. The Small Area Plan, or SAP, encourages a town center form of development that integrates a mix of complementary land uses such as neighborhood-oriented commercial and residential dwelling units. The goal of the Main Street Small Area Plan is to capture the features necessary to create a vibrant, walkable town center. The vision of the Main Street Small Area Plan is to develop a mixed-use downtown area that serves as a gathering point for the local community, as well as a destination for the broader region. The land use composition for the Main Street Small Area Plan is provided in this figure. The first town center project offers a neighborhood-scale urban development that includes 3 multifamily residential buildings with ground floor commercial space that will front the Main Street corridor within the Main Street Small Area Plan. The development conforms to the plan goals in fostering a mix of complementary uses with transportation facilities that will provide connection to uses both on-site and off-site to adjacent land uses along the Main Street corridor. The proposal also aligns with the plan's vision in transforming Main Street into a vibrant urban corridor by providing streetscape amenities along the property's frontage and a design that will allow the opportunity for outside seating amenities to activate the street. In regards to zoning provisions, as mentioned, the applicant is proposing to rezone 10.24 acres of land from the neighborhood B2 zoning district to the planned mixed-use district or the PIMA zoning district. As previously noted, when constructed, the first town center project will include 353,628 square feet of mixed-use development on 10.24 acres of land, consisting of 317 multifamily dwelling units with 18,750 square feet of ground floor commercial uses provided within 3 buildings. The PIMA zoning district allows the mix of residential and commercial uses within a single building provided on a consolidated parcel of land. The allowable residential density for development, however, under the PIMA requirements is limited to 15 dwelling units per acre. The subject proposal exceeds the allowable residential density and proposes to develop the site with 30 dwelling units per acre. As part of the rezoning application, the applicant is requesting that the town council waive the density requirements with proffers, which it claims will mitigate the impacts of doubling the allowable density, as well as off-site commitments as provided in Appendix A of the staff report. As shown in the master zoning plan exhibit depicted in this figure, the proposed development will be constructed into 2 phases on 2 consolidated parcels encompassing 10.24 acres of unimproved land immediately fronting Main Street. The development will be fully contained within 3 buildings consisting of multifamily residential apartments with ground floor commercial space. Access to the site will be provided by 2 full access driveways along Main Street. Interparcel connection between the buildings is provided by a network of drive aisles and pedestrian facilities internal to the site and along the property's frontage. As shown on the MZP, off-street parking for the development will be provided on site with a combination of below-grade parking garages within each building and surface parking spaces. The total 626 parking spaces conform to the zoning ordinance requirements. In addition, the proposed loading operations for the site will consist of 4 loading spaces that are located in a designated area at each building. Lastly, as it relates to the site, the applicant proposes to develop 38% of the site as open space, generally in the area labeled on the MZP as OS. The open space provided on site exceeds the zoning ordinance requirements of 25% of dedicated open space on site and will consist of several passive recreational features that will complement the residential component of the development. As previously mentioned, the proposed development is in the town's historic overlay district, and as such is required to conform to the standards outlined in the town Architectural Review Board or ARB design guidelines. The zoning ordinance requires the granting of a certificate of appropriateness from the ARB for any major alterations or new development within a historic overlay district. In reviewing the rezoning application at its June 9th, 2020 meeting, the ARB considered the appropriateness of the architectural treatment for the proposed development. The ARB concluded that the proposed development will consist of architectural elements that conforms to the ARB guidelines and approved the certificate of appropriateness for the proposed development subject to the conditions provided in the certificate of appropriateness approval letter provided in Appendix B of the staff report. As previously mentioned, access to the site will be provided via 2 full access driveways along the property's frontage on Main Street. The MZP indicates that the access driveways do not conform to the distancing requirements for an arterial roadway as provided in the Virginia Department of Transportation or VDOT design guidelines. The applicant submitted an access management exception to VDOT to waive the design guideline standards. VDOT accepted the findings and conclusions and approved the access management exception on February 3rd, 2021. The approved access management exception is provided in Appendix C of the staff report. As part of the rezoning application, the applicant submitted an operational analysis, an addendum to the operational analysis dated November 30th, 2020. The parameters, scope, and review of the OA were conducted by the town of Dumfries and by VDOT. The analysis indicated that the proposed development will continue to impact the traffic operations at the intersection of Route 1 and Route 234. The OA indicated that a future interchange project provided by another private development will offset the impacts generated by the proposed First Town Center project. As shown in the proffer statement provided in Appendix A, the applicant proposes to provide a monetary contribution to offset the development's incremental impacts to the Route 1, Route 234 intersection. Lastly, as it pertains to transportation, the applicant proposes to develop the property's frontage along Main Street with streetscape features that are consistent with the ARB design guidelines and the Main Street Small Area Plan. When constructed, the property frontage will be improved with an 8-foot on-street parking area, a 6-foot landscape amenity panel, and a 6-foot sidewalk provided in a public right-of-way as shown in this figure. In regards to public schools, the proposed development will be served by the Prince William County Public School System, specifically Dumfries Elementary School, Graham Park Middle School, and Forest Park High School. The residential portion of the proposed development generates impacts to the Prince William County Public Schools. Based on the Prince William County Public Schools student generation factors, the total number of students that are projected to be generated by the applications provided in this table. As part of the rezoning application, the applicant has proffered a monetary contribution to offset the development's incremental impacts to Prince William County Public Schools. The Prince William County Public Schools student impact statement and First Town Center impact on public schools justification statement are both provided in Appendix D of the staff report. As part of the rezoning application, the applicant is proposing several off-site improvements, which the applicant asserts will enhance the quality of life in the town. The applicant has proffered a monetary contribution to the town for the cost of installing streetlights along approximately 1,800 feet on the north side of Main Street, as generally shown on the concept layout plan provided in this figure. The applicant indicates that the streetlight improvements will promote the goals of the comprehensive plan by improving safety features on Main Street and will also complement the modern streetlight posts that are currently provided on the south side of Main Street, which fronts Town Hall. In addition, the applicant has proffered to provide passive recreation improvements to Garrison Park. The applicant asserts that the planned improvements to Garrison Park will also benefit the public good and will help the comprehensive plan, or will help meet the comprehensive plan goals of developing passive recreational green space that operate as a community gathering area for town residents. The applicant has also proffered to fund the future construction of a bus shelter and associated amenities within the Main Street Small Area Plan. In closing, staff has determined that the proposed development is consistent with and is in harmony with the comprehensive plan in offering a neighborhood scale urban development that includes 3 multifamily residential buildings with ground floor commercial space that will front Main Street corridor within the Main Street Small Area Plan. The development will conform to the plan goals and fostering a mix of complementary uses with transportation facilities that will provide connection to both uses on site and off site to adjacent land use along the Main Street corridor. Staff also concludes that the proposed development conforms to provisions of the town zoning ordinance and meets the intent of the PMUD zoning district in promoting a mix of residential and commercial development on a single site that is interconnected by a series of multimodal transportation facilities and consists of open space common areas that are integrated into the urban neighborhood form of this development. In addition, staff concludes that the applicant has shown that the off-site impacts to existing infrastructure, facilities, and adjacent land uses will all be mitigated. Staff recommends that the Town Council approves RZ 2020-002 and accepts the proffers set forth in Appendix A of the staff report with the associated master zoning plan. Staff also recommends that the Town Council waives the requirements set forth in Section 535.54 of the zoning ordinance to increase the maximum allowable density for residential units to 30 dwelling units per acre. In regards to the Planning Commission recommendation on its April 12th, 2021 meeting, the Town of Dumfries Planning Commission recommended that the Town Council approves RZ 2020-002 and accepts the proffers with the associated master zoning plan. Planning Commission also recommended that the Town Council waive the requirements set forth in section 535.54 of the zoning ordinance to increase the maximum allowable density for residential units, 30 dwelling units per acre. This concludes my presentation, and I will be happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Very thorough presentation, Mr. Capers, as always. We definitely appreciate your attention to detail on bringing our developers to the table and getting them to this point. I know this project has been a labor of love for the developer and wanting to bring this forth through the town. For I know, I've seen this project since 2014 several times, and so this is the furthest I've seen the football move on this project, and so I just wanted to say I'm excited to see that. The last part of your presentation, you said the Planning Commission will waive the density requirement to 30. What is the proposed density in this project? I'm sorry.
Just to clarify, both staff and the Planning Commission recommended that the Town Council waive. The Town Council has the authority to waive requirements in the zone ordinance. The requirement is 15 dwelling units per acre per the PMUD zoning district. The applicant is requesting to, he's proposing 30 dwelling units per acre, which is double the requirement, maximum requirement.
Okay. And how many levels are we taking this? Is this 4 levels or 3?
I am not sure. It's on the MZP. I could defer to the applicant once he provide his testimony, but okay. Whatever the maximum stories for development in this zoning district, the applicant meets that requirement. Okay. I'm just not sure of the exact level, but it's on the MZP.
All right. Council, any questions on the staff report before we bring in Mr. Singh to give his remarks before we have a public hearing? Mr. Brown.
Yes, just want to follow up on the waiver. So the 15 units per acre, is that ordinance? Is that ordinance that was developed by town council, approved by town council? And what was the basis of the limitation?
Yes, like any zoning requirements, the zoning, any design requirements within the zoning district, Councilman Brown, was approved by the council. I didn't do the analysis on the zoning text amendments because this happened prior to me joining the town. So I can't answer what was the premise of that maximum density. However, I will say that the proposal of 30 dwelling units per acre meets the comprehensive plan requirement, which allows for a maximum of, from a minimum of at least 1 FAR. So it does, though it exceeds the PMUD requirement of the zoning district, it is consistent with the Main Street Small Area Plan in providing that level scale of development.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions on the staff report before we bring in? One question, can you just highlight one more time the proffers? We heard the proffers to the school system. What was the dollar amount on the transportation?
Yeah, the dollar amount for the transportation is provided in the proffer, but I believe it was roughly around 27,000. And the way that was developed, it was based again on the developer's incremental impacts, the site incremental impacts to the intersection. So they provided a formula to determine what their percent of impact was, which I looked at and which I support and approve. And that's where that 27,000, roughly $27,000 number comes from.
Okay. Any other questions, Council? All right, we're going to bring in Mr. Singh, the developer on this project, to give his brief remarks on this project. Mr. Singh, welcome tonight. It's good to see you. Council, go ahead, Mr. Singh. You have anything you want to add?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Yes, it is true that I've been working with staff as well as the town council for many years on this project. And I'm proud to say that over the last 24 months, we got direction and a foundation from the town staff as to what is the right and appropriate way to move forward with it. And what you see today is the result of all that effort put in by, of course, my team and as well as the town staff. I'm hoping that after today's presentation, the town council has the necessary information to give us approval to move forward with the project. Where we stand now is that after the town council approval, we will go through what is known as the site plan review and approval process, which approximately takes about 2 review cycles and is largely driven by the town staff workload. And of course, after that, we go for a final construction permits. We approximately are hoping and targeting that within the next 8 to 9 months, we'll be at that stage. And that would be after the winter of 2021. Obviously, our new business environment in this pandemic era, everything is up to the Lord.
Okay, council, any questions for the developer? I'll let you all go first before I let you. No questions, no comments. Everybody's good on that. All right. Okay. All right. Hold on. Councilman Fields, I saw your hand, and then I saw you, Councilman Pete.
I would just like to say, first of all, I'll go back to Mr. Capers' wonderful presentation. And to Mr. Singh, this is great. It's great news to hear that this project has come along this far. We have other projects in town that Mr. Singh has been a part of, and that, you know, has helped to beautify our town over the past several years since I've been in town. As we speak, our current town hall and our town center there, that area was undeveloped years ago when I first came to this town, and Mr. Singh was a part of building the current building that the town hall stands in and other buildings in town. So Mr. Singh did not give up on Dumfries. So I'm glad that we're not giving up on him. Mr. Singh's vision for Dumfries continues, and it's been steadfast throughout the years. So I think that we owe Mr. Singh great homage and presenting and not giving up and staying in the fight and making sure, you know, his vision for the town of Dumfries doesn't go anywhere. So we thank you, Mr. Singh.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Pete.
I just want to piggyback on what some of the things Mr. Fields was saying, Councilman Fields was saying. Very great presentation there, Mr. Capers. That was an excellent job of, you know, just allowing the residents to be able to see the provision of what's going on in that little dead spot that I call it right there. You know, a lot of us have been wanting to do something with that for a long time, and it's. I want to thank the town manager also and his staff for you know putting this together. This is something good moving forward. And to Sing, long time coming. I remember when you had first pretty much proposed this to the council, you know, in the past, and it's a good thing to see that this is going to get started and moving in the right direction, and giving the citizens of the town another site to go and enjoy themselves. Again, you know, the model has been created of come to Dumfries instead of driving through Dumfries, and that's another thing that's going to help not only our citizens to be able to enjoy themselves in their own community, but for others outside of the community to come and enjoy our community as well as we enjoy theirs. So again, thank you guys, the town manager, and you and your staff, Mr. Capers and Mr. Pete Singh. And like I said, long time coming, and I'm glad we're moving the ball in the right direction. Thank you guys.
May I add something to this statement you just made?
Go ahead, Mr. Singh.
Yes.
Part of this project, we are contributing several $1 million worth of land to widen Route 1. I think that should also be taken into consideration as we move forward and redevelop Main Street. I would like to get more direction from the town council as to how they see the Possum Point traffic light improve so that it serves not only the Main Street residents, but other areas of the town, which will obviously see a significant development. Thank you.
All right, council, any other questions in related to the document that's in front of you and the topic on hand right now? Well, Mr. Singh, I wanted to go back to your timeline, because timelines are on this project is pretty important to me. Before we've had timelines, and so I want to understand your timeline going forward. You said once you get all of the approval from the staff and everything, you're still going to be looking at 8 to 9 months before you decide to break ground. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
No, that is the cycle which will it take to get all the approvals. The next key step for me is
wait, where'd you get that timeline from? 8 to 9 months.
I will lay it out to you right now. Right now,
You say from my staff. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you saying it's going to take them 8 to 9 months to give you approval after we do all of this.
So let me take you through the steps which are necessary. Okay. In about, say, 30 to 45 days, we will submit the site plan to the town of Dumfries. It has to go through a review by the support agencies, such as Prince William County, Water Authority, etc. That cycle, each cycle takes about 90 days. And typically, one has to go through 2 cycles of that to answer all the comments, etc. So after 2 cycles, the plan would be at a stage where the Director of Public Works and the Director of Planning can get to a sign-off stage. So it will naturally take about 6 months to get to that stage.
Mr. Capers, can you speak to that, please?
Yes, sure, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Singh is correct in the sense from a site plan process. The next step will, if the council so approves this rezoning application, he will move forward with the site plan, which he is correct. It will have to be reviewed by this town staff and several support agencies. As you may know, the council approved, I believe in the last meeting, that the final approval of site plans will be done by myself, which is the director. So he's correct. It will, if we assume a cycle of 3 reviews, and he is correct where each review cycle is about 60 days each. 30 days for staff to review, 30 days for the applicant to address our comments. You have 3 sets of that. Once they have final approval, he is correct that then he will start to work with Ms. Pre-Rose White and get an approval of building and trade permits. And I'm not sure of her timeline on that. But I'm not sure if his information was based on discussions that he had with the director. I'm not sure on the timeline of building and trade permits.
Okay. No. All right. So we're looking at 8 to 9 months possibly before you break ground. So I guess then the other concern we have, or I have as the mayor, I'll speak on my own behalf, is when we drive through that property, how often are you maintaining it now with nothing on it, as far as the grass and possibly the trash that gets dumped over there, because that is a concern on how we see that property being maintained right now.
Your comments are well taken, and I got a chance after a couple of months to drive around, and I also have noticed that there is some debris or trash around, and especially in the parking lot, which also is used by the furniture store, the new furniture store owner. There's some trash sitting over there, which we will certainly address. And of course, I will also keep an eye on cutting the grass. And as Mr. Rogers commented, the town is also going to take initiative to cut the strip which is on Main Street.
I think the strip, Mr. Rogers, can you speak to that? Are you cutting the strips now on the Main Street now? Are we back to cutting that?
I think we're literally in the weeds now, Mayor.
Okay. I'm just checking. He said, I don't think we that was a good pun. It was intended. All right, council, any other questions for Mr. Singh? He's gonna keep the property looking good for 8 to 9 months until he breaks ground on it, so that it could be in conjunction with the vision of what we got forth. It looks like it's in line with what we just adopted in our last comprehensive plan and our Main Street small area plan. So it's exciting that possibly in a year's time, 2022, by the time some of the other projects will be about done, Mr. Singh will be ready to break ground on this property. So I'm hoping to see that timeline and nothing. What will be the biggest obstacle to this project not moving forward, Mr. Singh? I guess that's my last question. You know, I've voted on your projects in the past, and so I'm just trying to see what would be the biggest obstacle in this project not happening for you.
Let me make a comment first. This time around, I got the right direction and support from staff so that it can come to a conclusion.
Okay.
In the previous presentations, which I had given to the town council, it was in a much more haphazard way. This time around, me, my team, and the direction we got from the town staff is gelling together. The key to the success is also the work which has been done to approve the MZP. A lot of issues which were set aside in the previous presentations have been correctly addressed. I'm going to give you a good example. The creek between the town hall building and this side has always been a contentious as to how to do it. And this time around, both Ms. White as well as Mr. Capers gave me some direction so that we can address that. They also gave me direction on how to proceed with enhancing Garrison Park and what is an appropriate build out which could be done on Garrison Park. You know, instead of just making statements, which was in the past, now we have a working relationship with the team, and I think that adds a lot to the success. The approval of the MZP will also create a value so that the financing world be convinced that the town of Dumfries is behind the project. And the staff as well as the town council is looking favorably to what Mr. Singh is trying to do in the town of Dumfries. This is not $1 million or $2 million project. With the amount of construction which we have proposed, and you have heard those numbers, it'll end up being somewhere around $60 to $70 million investment and create a value, not for me, but for the town of Dumfries, because that value is going to bring in tax dollars, in not real estate tax dollars, but also meals tax dollars etc., because it creates residents, new residents to the town of Dumfries, brings in new blood to the town of Dumfries. And in the current era, I think here in the town, we need that cohesive environment to build a new community, a new foundation. Thank you.
Thank you. Couple questions that on the design element, just to hear that I had asked Mr. Capers. Is this 4 stories or is it 5? Because I couldn't
This-
really tell in the small print that I had.
With the street perspective, it is a 4-story building.
Okay.
In the rear, there is a driveway which goes to the underground parking.
So the garage is going to be underground?
Yes, for the residents, the garage is underground. For the commercial patrons, we have surface parking.
And will there be street parking to tie into the new Main Street? Will there be public parking as well? A part of this? Or is this just all for the commercial development?
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
The zoning ordinance requires applicants to provide the number of off-street parking to support their facilities. When I mentioned the on-street parking, when Main Street is given to the town, Mr. Singh has afforded or provided space so we could implement the plan goals and providing on-street parking. That's just a design standard for an off-site facility, but he has satisfied his off-site parking requirement all on his site. Just to clarify.
Okay. That answers. I don't have any more questions. Thank you. All right. Anybody else have any other questions before we open up the public hearing? All right. Seeing none, if there's any members in the public that wishes to speak in support or opposition to the project, please raise your hand now, and I will hear you and bring you in for 2 minutes. All right. I think we have a hand. We'll bring you in. All right, just state your name and everything for the record, and then we'll your comments on this project.
Hello, my name is Ebony Lofton. I live on Milroy Drive in Dumfries. Good evening to everybody. I'm sorry there may be some background noise. My neighbors are having a cookout here, but I just wanted to say in the brief history that I know of this project, it is in fact a very good thing, I believe, for the town of Dumfries from a development standpoint, from all of the comments that Mr. Singh made. I think the only reservation I might have, and I think Mr. Capers has very eloquently addressed some of those concerns, is of course traffic with the other development plans in the town. But it is a very beautiful rendering, a pool and clubhouse. Obviously, we have a lot of people still moving to this area, moving further up from south and moving further south from north. So the number of units is a great opportunity with the mix of commercial businesses. So I'm very pleased with the work that the council is doing, and thank you so much for allowing me to speak this evening. God bless.
Bless you too. All right, thank you for your comments. Bring in the next speaker, please.
Hi, this is Bob Borka. I'm the president for Historic Dumfries. I live at 17623 Duke Street in Dumfries. Just wanted to say that I welcome this proposal. I look forward to the development starting. I wish it could begin sooner, and hopefully, as the mayor's alluding to, if the political processes can be quickened with the partner agencies, perhaps he can start in a sooner timeline, as long as his finances and permits permit. But a welcome addition to Dumfries. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, Bob. All right. Is there anyone else lined up to speak in support or opposition? I think if I see no more hands, we will close up the public hearing portion of this application request. What did I do with the, all right.
And the vice mayor got something.
Okay, Vice Mayor. I missed you. Sorry. Didn't give you a chance to speak. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Mr. Singh, with regard to the units, the residential units, do you have an idea of what the price range will be? Will these be condos? Will these be rental properties? And what are we looking at as far as the rent or the cost of them, considering what the median income here is in Dumfries? You know, that's something to be taken into consideration, whether or not it would be affordable housing, considering the location.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
The Vice Mayor asked a twofold question. Let's first address the type of units. The type of units are ranging from 1 bedroom to a 3-bedroom, because the 3-bedroom provides stability to the residents who will move to Dumfries, whereas the 1-bedroom is going to be more transitional in nature. The price points, as far as rent is concerned, we have kept in mind that we need to cater to the young families who right now serve our military and come and work at the base. And look, think for a minute, where do they rent today? They all go to Stafford's. And I'm going to keep in mind that our mayor's earlier blurb was, let's make the town of Dumfries a destination. So that's going to drive what the rents are going to be. Yes, this is not Springfield, so we cannot and will not charge $2,000 for a 1-bedroom. As far as having units which qualify for low-income housing, at this point, I do not have any plans for that, nor do we have plans for Section 8 housing. I think Main Street is not the right place for that. What Main Street is to provide an opportunity for new professionals to find Dumfries to be an attractive place to start their careers.
Thank you for that, Mr. Singh. I do appreciate your point about, you know, what we really want to attract here is more of a luxury lifestyle as opposed to Section 8 housing, as you referred to. One of my other questions that I don't recall you answering is, will these be condos or rentals, or would it be a mixture of both?
The building A and B are rentals, and they are being funded as rental units. Building C is yet to be finalized as per the type of funding I'm going to get. Looking at the market, condos may or may not work here in Dumfries because condos carry a very significantly large condo fees. Okay, and we have to be sensitive to that as to how much will one be able to afford. And looking at our competition here in Dumfries, there aren't any condos as such of this quality, because the price point of a condo, which let's hypothetically say it's about 1,200 square feet, is going to be $250,000. That's all I can comment at this point.
Thank you.
All right, council, any final questions before we will discuss? Mr. Pete?
Mr. Singh, if I'm hearing you right, did you state that that you guys were targeting young families geared to the military?
We studied the demographics of what is around Dumfries. Dumfries has the base, Quantico. And we studied where are the people who live in Quantico, work in Quantico, are renting. And a good number, majority of them are renting in the Stafford area, right at that, what they call, the Occoquan, not Occoquan, the 610 traffic light. If you go down there at 610 traffic light, you'll see a lot of new apartments coming up because that is what is being served. And what is happening there is we are completely defeating what the town has to do is attract people to come live over here. And that's what the focus of the town center and this particular design is, to attract people to live over here. You know, that would also improve the type of grocery stores, etc., which would cater to this particular type of clientele.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mr. Singh. Also, you had made a statement of you guys weren't looking to charge $2,000 per one bedroom.
Yet to be determined.
Numbers, do you guys have a projected window of what you will be charging for rent per X amount of bedrooms?
Look, that's a business case issue, and there's several factors which will drive it. Right now, I hate to tell you this, have you been to Home Depot and see what the price of lumber is?
Today.
Yes, and if I build it in the next 24 months or 12 months, then the price point is going to be much higher. So, timing is, in real estate, timing is everything. And timing to start construction in the next 90 days is not good. So so in a year from now, when our time comes to start construction, we would only have X amount of money, which is raised from the financial institutions. And that's going to drive what rent, how to show profitability.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I have no further questions at this moment.
It was definitely interesting. I bought a stud, Mr. Singh, for that would should normally cost $2 or something. I paid like $7 for one stud. So yes, that price of wood is definitely up. One of the questions I think I heard you when you were talking to the vice mayor. You've already secured financing for A and B for apartments, and number C, I think you said the financing is yet available, so you don't know if it's going to be condos or apartments. I just wanted to get clarity. Is that what I heard you say?
That is correct.
Okay, so the financing is done.
Yeah, I've been part of this community for a while, and to be very candid, I am looking around what my competition is talking about. There's somebody in town who wants to create a senior citizen building. And if that building is successful over the next year and a half, then we can make another senior citizen building. So that's
okay. So this is going to be in phases. All right, council. Any further questions or additional questions? Hopefully, everybody got clarity on everything. Absolutely, we love to see you move forward on this project sooner than later. We understand costs and financing and all that plays a major, as well as the process, as Mr. Bob said earlier, with the political process going back and forth. But listen, I welcome this project as I did when you first presented it, and I'm looking forward to see it move forward. So you'll get my support on this moving forward. All right. Any other things before we I welcome a motion from the floor? All right, seeing none. We're looking for the requested action. I think that the staff said in their report was to give us the language, Mr. Caper, so that we can move your language.
Staff recommends that the council approve the rezoning application, and also recommends that the council approves the waiver to increase the density requirements. Sorry, Ms. Pandek. I'm not sure she had a question for me.
No, mute, Ms.
No,
Pandek.
mute. We got to unmute her.
Mr. Mayor, there is a draft resolution in your package of approval.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
Consistent with what Mr. Capers just outlined for you.
A lot of pages to sift through there.
Oh. Sorry. I'm gonna get to it.
Motion to approve item A.
which
Mr. Mayor, without further delay, I'm happy to so move on said action.
Okay.
Second.
All right, so it's been moved by Councilman Fields and second by Councilman Pete to approve action A, which are ordinance concerning rezoning application RZA 2020-002 and a waiver for the density. All right, so if there's no further discussion, I think we've exhausted the discussion. We will call for the question. All right, Councilman Brown.
Approved.
Councilman Fields.
Approved.
Councilman Pete.
Approved.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
And that's a yes for me. The motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Mr. Singh. All right. Y'all need a stretch break? Okay, if that at this time, we're going to adjourn tonight's meeting. We continue the other items. Yeah, have a good day.
Good night.